I'm Heather from Here Booktubes, and this is my August wrap up. In August, I hit my Goodreads goal of 300 books for the year, so that was exciting. Cue the confetti. And in August, I read 30 books. I DNF'd 7, and so there are 23 that I'm going to talk about today. Except, side note, I am going to briefly mention one DNF. It is Reign the Sainthood, Boys of Lowell High, number 3 by Saban Davis. I have previously recommended this series and mentioned it, so I wanted to go ahead and mention this DNF. This is the third and final book in the trilogy, and there is a pretty graphic rape scene of a side character and pretty graphic aftercare about her injuries, and that happened at about 30% through the book, and I DNF'd it at that point. I just couldn't go over it. Wasn't comfortable with it, was no longer enjoying the story. I do feel that it fit the storyline, it fit the character, but for me, I chose not to finish it, so I may finish it in the future. I may check out more trigger warnings, see if there's anything else like that on page, or I may read an in-depth review that tells me what happens. But because I've mentioned the first book on my channel a few different times, I wanted to go ahead and let you know that the third book does have that in it. So in August, I participated in the Summer Fling. I already did a wrap up for that. So for the books that I finished that are in this list, I will just kind of give you the rating and a very quick 1 second thought about them. But I do already have that filmed and up on the channel. Alright, now going in chronological order from the beginning of the month. I started with The Blind Hordsman, which is Hordesman number 6 by Milana Jax. This is a Omegaverse alien romance series. This is a spin-off of a previous series. This book just throws you right into it. So if this is not already your thing, don't start with this. I give it 4 stars. It's very smutty, very graphic. It was interesting. I enjoyed it. It was a good ending to the series. Yeah, if you've read these books, let me know. I would love to have somebody else who has read them to tell me what they think. Next I read Let Me Show You, which is McClain Brothers number 3 by Alexandria House. I gave this book 4 stars. I love all the McClain brothers. This one was the smart guy who is a director and an investor, and he's a twin, and he got with a longtime family friend. And I read it for the Summer Fling. Also for the Summer Fling, I read Betting on Fate, which is Served number 4 by Katee Robert. I have not read the other books in this series. They're standalones. 2 are by Tessa Bailey, 2 are by Katee Robert. I gave the book 4 stars. We have a bet, and the loser has to be the other submissive for a week. They're both dominants. And she loses, and she's actually a switch, and I really enjoyed the switch representation and how it was handled. Next I read I Think I Might Love You, which is Love Sisters number 1 by Christina C. Jones. This is my first book by this author. I read it for the Summer Fling. I gave it 5 stars. It's a really funny novella, and our heroine is a walking disaster. Our hero keeps being a victim of hers, and I enjoyed it, and I will for sure be picking up more by the author. Next I read Until Talon, which is Until Him/Her number 9 by Aurora Rose Reynolds. I have not read all the books in the series. I've just picked up random ones here and there. It's not on Kindle Unlimited. It's also not in my library, so I've had to buy these, but she does have other books that are available on Kindle Unlimited if you want to see if you enjoy her as an author. I gave it 5 stars. Her books always have a thin thread of suspense in them while mostly focusing on the couple. They're always pretty low angst. He was a total alpha, but he was sweet and charming to his woman. He took care of her, and I enjoyed him overcoming her trust issues. Next, I read Yes Daddy by Dani Wyatt. This was for the Summer Fling. I gave it 2 stars. The daddy/little kink was a little heavy for me. Also, I didn't think it was the greatest book ever written. It was not great. But they meet when he hits her with his car, and that part was fun. So, you know. Next I read Ashes, which is Dark in You number 3 by Suzanne Wright. I gave this book 5 stars. Harper is a demon. She is mated to the most powerful demon in the world named Nox, and somehow every single book she ends up captured by his enemies. I'm just like, again? So anyways, hopefully in the 4th book, she won't get captured. But I mean, I've still given all these books 5 stars. I'm still really enjoying the storyline. I like the couple a lot. And if you want to read about demons in urban fantasy, this is good. Next, I read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. I read this for the summer fling. I gave it 5 stars. I'm sure you probably heard of it. It's by Talia Hibbert. It's the first in the Brown Sisters series. Chloe has fibromyalgia and she ends up falling for the super for her apartment, and his name is Red, and he's nice to everybody except Chloe at the beginning, but they're just a sweet, happy couple. I really like them. Next, for the summer fling, I read Craved, which is Team Zero #1 by Rina Kent. I gave this book 4 stars. It is an assassin going to kill somebody who is welcoming to death. She has nothing to live for, and he doesn't like that. But he's not going to be able to get away with it if he doesn't kill her. And I already knew kind of the big spoiler for this, so I don't know exactly how I would have felt about it if I didn't, but it's a good hitman story. Next, I read Hollen the Soulless. This is for the summer fling. Dokiri Brides #1. It's by Denali Day. I gave it 2 stars. I despised this book. She gets claimed as his bride. She just gets swooped up out of the sky. And then she spends the whole book trying to escape and go back to her duty. And then when she finally gets over that, with her naivete and self-sacrifice and martyr complex, they get captured and maimed, and I didn't like it at all. After that debacle, I read Chiseled Chess, which just makes my heart race #5, which I haven't read at any of the other books, by Megan Wade. I gave this book 4 stars. It was a sweet novella. They were dual virgins, no pushing away, insta love, no drama, and you also have a non-binary character representation. Then I read Craved Mate. This is Cybermate #6. Haven't read any of the others in the series. By Candace Ayers. I gave this book 4 stars. It was a shifter fated mates novella. If you like those, here's one. Next, I read Him by L.L. Ash. I read this for the Taboo Book Club, which is hosted by Jen from the Book Refuge and Tamika at Library of Tomes. I gave this book 5 stars. It was a really sweet age gap. Both characters were really mature. They really took care of each other. I loved that about them. They did not do a good job of telling their loved ones that they were in a relationship. He is her best friend's dad, and she and her best friend are going to live with him while they go to college. Next, I read Chaos at Prescott High, which is the Havoc Boys #2 by C.M. Stunich. I gave this book 4 stars. It does have triggers for pedophilia and child abuse. There's lots of murder. There's lots of violence. This book picks up right exactly where the first book let off. I didn't remember all that much, but it wasn't hard to pick up on. This is a reverse harem bully romance and has a little bit of a unique setup. So she makes the deal, she'll be their girl, and they're going to take care of everybody on her list, and her list is the people that have wronged her. Next, I read Built for Love by Ella Goode. I gave this 4 stars. This is a sweet novella. It's insta-love. Abel owns a construction business. He's already said no to this building, and then he sees Pepper on the sidewalk and quickly changes his mind. Next, for the summer fling, I read Ball Peen Hammer, which is Morgan Brothers #3 by Lauren Rowe. I haven't read the second book, but these take place on almost dual timelines. I gave this book 4 stars. It's about a male stripper and a film student going on a road trip and falling in love. They're in their early 20s. There is some pushing away, and the humor wasn't exactly my style, but it was a good book. You might really enjoy it. Next, I reread Bared to You, which is Crossfire #1 by Sylvia Day. I gave it 5 stars. It's amazing. I primarily read the Gideon and Ava parts. Gideon is a charismatic billionaire. Ava is also independently wealthy, but works and has a spine and will stand up to Gideon, and their attraction is amazing. They are both survivors of sexual abuse, as are other characters in the book and series, so that's very prevalent. Be aware of that. All 5 books are about Gideon and Ava and their relationship, and it's good. You should read it. Then I reread the second book, which is Reflected in You, and I also gave that 5 stars. They're delightful. Then I read Let Me Free You, which is McClain Brothers #4 by Alexandria House. I give this book 5 stars. It might be my favorite out of the series. I really liked it. This guy is the twin of the last guy, And he is the screw up. He has had alcohol and gambling addictions for years and has just kind of spiraled out of control. We start the book with him being released from rehab. So he's already done a lot of the work to make himself better. So he's not screwing up through this book. He and Sage have a very spiritual connection. They have a marriage of convenience. Sage is being deported and she's a friend of the other brothers' wives. I really liked it a lot. And I thought that their connection, while being a little bit out there, was written very believably, and I really enjoyed their relationship. Next, I read Suddenly His by Jessica Cain. If you know who Jessica Cain is, she writes smutty novellas, so you already know what this is. I gave this book 4 stars. There is a billionaire, a virginity auction, some daddy light kink, and exhibitionism. And it was fun. It was a good time, and I enjoyed the story, and some of the scenes were top-notch. Next, I read Lady Luck, which is Colorado Mountain number 3 by Kristen Ashley. I believe this is the last book in the series that I had to read, and I gave it 5 stars. It was so good. This is about an interracial couple. She picks him up from prison. They've never met before. They do a marriage of convenience. He's set on getting vengeance on the people who wrongfully sent him to prison, partially because of the fact that he is half black. You have racism and dirty cops and backstabbing drug dealers and people overcoming their own issues, and in all of that, in the struggles of an interracial couple and a man who is lashing out because of his own hurt, you still ended up with so much happiness in this story and so much happiness for this couple. I loved them so much. Highly recommend. This is a great story. It tackled a lot of issues and still brought all this happiness, and I loved it. Next, I read The Billionaire's Wake Up Call Girl, which is Billionaires of Manhattan number 2 by Anika Marden. I gave this book 3 stars. It was very much the formulaic romance novel where they spend the whole book pushing and pulling, and then something happens and they break up and then they get back together. And so I skimmed quite a few parts. I gave it 3 stars. It was good for what it was. This is not my favorite style to read. So she works at this company. The boss is a huge grump. She doesn't really work with him, but her immediate superior keeps taking credit for her work and is trying to get into the boss's pants, yada yada. Well, he apparently is even worse of a grump in the morning, and instead of using an alarm clock, requires a wake-up call service and has apparently gone through all of them in Northern America. So she ends up doing it herself, and they end up kind of falling for each other over the phone with him not knowing who she is in real life. Fun. If it sounds interesting, give it a shot. There was some good humor, some good sexy times. But even going into it, I knew that that probably wasn't going to be exactly my style. Last but not least, I read The Wolf's Mail Order Bride by Ella Goode. This is Mail Order Bride number 2. There's the Mail Order Bride of the Winter King, I think. And there's an alien one by Ruby Dixon. So each book is by a different author. I've read, this is my second one, I think, in the series, and really enjoyed them. I gave it 5 stars. It was a cute shifter novella. Our hero was a virgin. He's a shifter, so he is saving himself for his mate. Our heroine is a human and was not, and that was not a problem, and he didn't get angry about it, and I really liked how that was handled. It's insta-love. It's a novella. It was sweet. Good shifter. What more do you want from me? That's it. That's all the books that I read in August. How was your reading month? Let me know. I'm excited that it's September and we're closer to fall. Even though there were quite a few days where I didn't actually pick up a book, which is always frustrating for me, I still had a really good reading month. Enjoyed the books that I read, and hope you did too. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.